I can remember the first time I caddied for a guy who was only a little guy, maybe 12 years old about that time. And I caddied for a guy named Bill Lynch. He had a great big leather bag. I could just about carry it. And I can remember on the second hole, it's funny how you remember things. Remember the second hole, he hit it in the rough. Now the rough back in those days was that high, was not cut. Then you had 10 foot of, or 15 foot of regular cut rough, and then the fairways. And he hit it in that big heavy stuff. He said to me, "If you don't find this ball, boy, I'm sending you in." Well, I found the ball. And that's how I became involved with golf. And I caddied for a lot of good players. And one in particular that I learned a lot of golf from was a man by the name of Ted Johnston. And Ted Johnston won the Philly Amateur back in 1929, I think, at Pine Valley. And I used to listen to what he would say, how to grip the club, different shots and stuff like that. So I really learned a lot of golf from Ted Johnston. Matter of fact, I was out at the old Roxborough Country Club the first time I ever saw Woody Platt, and he was playing golf as a guest at Roxborough. And I forget who I was caddying with, but we had a foursome. And I'll never forget this because Woody he was a stand-up guy, you know, and his arms were straight down. It was back, shoulders back. And he got in front of this guy on the third hole at the old Roxborough Country Club. And the guy hit the shot, and he hit him right in the back of the head. Knocked Woody straight down on his face. He hands straight down and into the fairway. And he was knocked out for, a minute or so, and he got up and he finished the round, but he got whacked pretty good. That was my first meeting with Woody Platt. A nice career. I could never get that Philly Am, which I'd love to have gotten. I played in a lot of Pennsylvania states, too. And I remember one match I played at the Philly Country Club, and I played Jimmy McHale. Jimmy McHale was a Walker Cupper. He just finished being a Walker Cupper. He's probably the nicest golf swing that I saw in Philadelphia over the years was Jimmy McHale. And he had a hole-in-one that day, too. But we were all even going 18 with him. And he was a member at Philly Country Club at the time, and probably one of the favorites to win the tournament. He drove the ball in the right trap. I hit down the middle, hit it on the green. He missed the green, chipped it up, had a bogey. I two-putted, and that was that game. So that was a pretty good win. And I had other wins. One of the ones I really remember well, I played in a D. Ray Boyd tournament up at Plymouth Country Club. I'm not sure of the year, but I drew the first round. I drew Jay SIGEL. Don't I nip him one down? That's one of the that's one of the things I remember well, because to beat one of the greatest amateur players that ever lived is pretty close in my memory. Yeah, Jay was always tough. I was 63 or 64. But when I first qualified, I went to Crystal Downs in Michigan. I won my first match. I lost my second match to Clarence Moore, who I'd won the last 2 years before that. So I had a good match with him, but I lost to him 3-2. And then I went down to Virginia on the second time. And the first round I shot 70. And I said, I can shoot 80 tomorrow and I'll qualify easily. Well, I shot 82 and missed it by a shot. So I made the match play once, and the other time I didn't. But that's, it's awful tough to qualify for a a U.S. amateur or a senior amateur. I remember I only tried twice for the U.S. amateur. I played 36 holes with Jay SIGEL down at Wilmington Country Club. And I think I shot 77, 76 and was nowhere near it. Jay shot maybe 72 and 71 or something, but he made it. But the guy that was the low qualifier was Craig Stadler. He was the amateur that year. So that was another kind of a fun thing. I've been kind of associated with a lot of guys that could really play. At Eagle Lodge, I won the club championship in 6 decades. 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. I won the club championship at Sandy Run 4 decades. 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. And in my last match, the last time I won the club championship, I played Tom Carter in the finals. And Tom, the week before, had just won the Philly Am. So I come into the finals as another underdog. And it's funny how the night before we were going to play, we were over at John DiMarzio's having dinner, and I talked to Gordon Brewer. Gordon was over there having dinner with his wife. And I was telling him about me going to play Tom tomorrow. He said, well, good luck with that. I said, well, Gordon, I said, ain't nobody undefeated in this game. I'll show up and see what happens. I beat him 3-2. So that was another big win. And of course, Tommy Carter went on to win the three games at the mini tours, and then went on the regular tour. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, he had a bad back and hasn't done as well as what he should have. But Tom was a real fun.
Just give me a thought on Lincoln RODEN.
Lincoln? Well, Lincoln was a quiet guy. He was a little smaller than me, and he worked for Smith, Klein and French. And fortunately or not, I had 2 brothers and a sister that worked for Smith, Klein. So Link knew my sisters and brothers. And Link was always a gentleman and a real fine player. He kind of got away from playing tournament golf. And if he'd have kept playing, he would have always been in there because he was pretty steady.
Bill Hyndman III.
The only guy I never beat in Philadelphia was Billy Hyndman III. And I only played him once. And I played him in a team match. And I played him at Musselm Springs. And he beat me 3-2. But Billy was, he was another great player. Nice man.
How about Alan SUSSEL?
Hare was a nice guy. You know, he was an airplane fighter pilot in the war, World War II. And he was another real steady player. And another nice guy, really.
Bucky ERHARDT?
Bucky. Bucky's another one of those guys. When I read that article on the people that are in the article, I played Bucky one time. I forget where it was, but whether it was Philadelphia Country Club or something, it was one of the matches. I don't know if it was Philly Am or Pennsylvania State, but I shot 72 and I lost 1 down. Bucky was a great player and a real nice guy. As a matter of fact, I was telling the guys yesterday on the 8th hole at Sandy Run at our place here. We played yesterday, and he hit his drive, and the drive got a little bit over the hump on a downhill that was probably a 60 or 70 degree angle. And he hit a 3-iron and knocked it on the green. That was 230 yards from there. Probably one of the greatest shots I ever saw played. I saw with Bucky. And I always kind of remind him of that shot, too. He remembers it.
Jim Sykes, who recently passed away.
Jimmy, yeah. Well, you know, Jimmy was a member of White Marsh before he got to Huntington Valley.
Okay.
So I knew Jimmy back in the days when I was a member there. And Jimmy was always a good player. And as a matter of fact, his people ran SYKES' mill or his uncle or somebody from Manayunk, Roxborough area. And all my uncles from the Roxborough, Manayunk area worked for SYKES' mill. Of course, Jimmy wouldn't know that, but there was a wool mill back, that was big in Manayunk back in the day when I was growing up. The wool mill factories, and they all moved south, and when they moved south, all the people that worked in the mills from Manayunk were out of jobs. But that was big back in the 30s, 40s, 50s.
So that was his family's?
That was his family's business,
Is that his dad that owned that? Or
I'm not sure if it was Jim's dad or not. It might have been.
Okay.
Might have been. But then I started to do volunteer work for Philadelphia Golf, and Jim was in charge of the Philadelphia Golf at that time. And I probably, I guess he was there a good 10 years when I was there.
One of the top golfers in
You know what? I
the
never thought I was going to be good. But you know what? I started as a kid, and I got good every year. Every year I improved like 5 or 6 or 8 shots, and it was coming easy to me. And when I got to work on the golf course during the summertime, I would work, and at 4:30 we were finished, and I'd go out and play. So I played almost every day during the summertime, and as a result of that, I got better and better and better.
I'm guessing you never took a lesson back then, right?
Never took a lesson in my life. All my stuff was self-taught from watching good players like Ted Johnston, Woody Platt, Bill Robinson, and listening to what they had to say on a different shot and watching the different shots. The one I remembered mostly was the 61. I forgot about the 63 and 62, but I remember the 61. And I was playing with John Beery, who happened to be the pro at the Eagle Lodge at the time. And I had a 15-foot putt for 59. And John said to me, he says, if you knock this in, so I'll give you a dozen balls. Well, I knocked it 3 feet by and missed it coming back for my 61.